Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm Kerry. Today I'll be showing you how to crochet this train track beanie, and next week I'll give you some ideas to decorate it. This beanie will fit a toddler from about 1 to 3 years. The beanie circumference is 46 centimetres or 18 inches and the beanie length is 18 centimetres or 7 inches. I'll tell you how you could make the beanie a bit bigger in the video. I used blue, green and grey 10-ply yarn, which is worsted in the US and Aran in the UK. I used a 5.5mm crochet hook, but I have tight tension. I have a gauge of 9 stitches and 5 rows in treble is 7.5 centimetres or 3 inches. I'll have that in the description below. I used a darning needle to weave in the ends and scissors. Now we're starting on the crown, so I've got my blue for the sky. We start with the magic loop. You could work 4 chain and join with a slip stitch if you'd prefer. There's lots of ways to make a magic loop, so make it how you feel most comfortable. I just put my hook on the yarn, bring the short end over the hook and then the long end over the short end to make a circle. Put the yarn around the hook and bring my hook with the yarn at the end through the circle, and that's my magic loop. We start with 2 chain. The 2 chain isn't counted as a stitch. And then we work 16 double crochet into our circle. A double crochet is a treble using UK terms. For a double crochet, you put the yarn around the hook, then take your hook through the circle and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook. Take the hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops, yarn around the hook, hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops. Now we need 15 more double crochet into our circle. Now that's the 16 double crochet. We pull our circle tight, so we take hold of this tail and just ease it in as tight as we can. And then we join with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch. So not those 2 chain there, this first stitch here. So we put our hook into the stitch, bring through a loop and take it straight through the loop on the hook. For row 2 we start with 2 chain. That doesn't count as a stitch. We work 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our join and 2 double crochet into the next stitch. And then we'll be working 1 double crochet into the next stitch and 2 double crochet into the following stitch, and we'll repeat that right round our piece, 1 in the next and then 2 into the following, and we'll have 24 stitches. That doesn't count the chain, so we've got 3 already, So 1 double crochet into the next stitch and 2 into the following stitch, and repeat that around, 1 into the next stitch and 2 into the following stitch. And just work like that around the piece. And once we've worked our 24 stitches, we join in the top of the first stitch, so not the top of the chain, and that's row 2 done. For row 3 we start with 2 chain, we work 1 double crochet in the same stitch as the join and 1 double crochet into the next stitch and then 2 into the following stitch. Now that will be on top of where we've worked the 2 into the row below. And right around this row we'll be working 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches and 2 double crochet into the following stitch. So that will be on top of our increase from the row below. And we'll have 32 stitches. So 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches and 2 double crochet into the following stitch. So I'll work the rest of this round off camera. When we get back to the beginning of the row, we join with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch. For row 4, we start with 2 chain, we work 1 double crochet in the same stitch as the join, and then 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. And then we work 2 double crochet in the following stitch. That's up above the increases from the last 2 rows. Then we'll be working 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches and 2 double crochet into the following stitch, and we'll repeat that to the end of the row. So 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches and 2 double crochet into the following stitch, and just repeat that till you get to the end of the row. So I'll work the rest of this row off camera. When we get back to the beginning of the row, we join with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch. For row 5, we start with 2 chain and work 1 double crochet in the same stitch as the join, and then work 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches, and 2 double crochet into the following stitch. That's on top of the increases from the last few rows. And then we'll be working 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches and 2 double crochet into the following stitch, and we'll repeat that right round. So 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches, and 2 double crochet into the following stitch. And we'll just repeat that. We'll have 48 stitches by the end of this row. So 1 double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches and 2 double crochet into the following stitch. So I'll work the rest of this row off camera. Now I'm back to the beginning of the row, so I join with a slip stitch. Now that's as big as I'm going to have my beanie, but if you needed your beanie to be bigger, you could work another row or 2 of increase. For the next row, you'd work 5 double crochet between your increases, and if you needed an additional row, you'd work 6 double crochet between your increases. Now we're going to start on the pattern now. We start with 2 chain and work 1 double crochet in the same stitch as the join, and then we're going to work 1 single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. A single crochet is a double crochet using UK terms. For a single crochet we put the hook into the stitch. Now it's a back loop only, this is the front loop and this is the back loop. So hook into the back loop and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through both loops, and then 1 double crochet through both loops of the next stitch and a single crochet in the back loop only of the following stitch, and we'll repeat that right round. A double crochet through both loops of the next stitch and a single crochet through the back loop only of the following stitch, and just repeat that right around. So I'll work the rest of this row off camera. When we get back to the beginning of the row, we join with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch, and that's the first 6 rows done. Rows 7 and 8 are worked the same as row 6. We start with 2 chain and work 1 double crochet in the same stitch as the join and 1 single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. Now that's on top of the single crochet from the row below. Then 1 double crochet into the next stitch on top of the double crochet and a single crochet in the back loop only of the single crochet from the row below, and just work like that, a double crochet on top of the double crochets and a single crochet in the back loop only of the single crochet from the row below. So I'll work the rest of this row and the next row off camera, and I'll be back. I'll have 3 rows of pattern. Now I'm back to the beginning of the row. I've finished with the sky, so I'll be joining in the green for the grass. So I put my hook into the top of the first stitch, and I'm going to bring through a loop of green to finish that stitch off, and to make it more secure so it doesn't come undone, I'm going to tie the end of the green and the blue together and I'll cut the blue with quite a bit of yarn left, and we'll start working with the green. We start with 2 chain, and we're going to work 2 more rows of this same pattern. So we work 1 double crochet in the same stitch as the join. I'm going to work over these 2 tails for a little while, and then I'll weave them in later. And then we work 1 single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, and then a double crochet in the following stitch, and we'll be working a single crochet in the back loop only of the single crochets from the row below, and a double crochet through both loops of the double crochets for the row below. So I just repeat around like that, a double crochet and then a single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch. So I'll work the rest of this row and the following row off camera, and I'll be back and we'll start on the railway tracks. Now that's the 2 rows of green done. I'm going to put my hook into the top of the first stitch, and I'm going to join in the grey, but I'm not going to fasten off the green this time because we'll need it in the next row. I will tie those 2 together again. I'll leave the green where it is and just work with the grey for this row. So we start with 1 chain, and we're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So a single crochet is a double crochet using UK terms. We put our hook into the stitch, bring up a loop, yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through both loops. So we're working through both of the loops of the stitch below. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around. I'm working over the tail of the grey yarn again. Now this is for the top of the train track. So I'll work the rest of this row off camera. 1 single crochet in each stitch around. I'm back to the beginning of the row. I've hooked the grey over the top of the green to bring it through, and we join with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch with the grey, and then work 2 chain and then bring the green up, and we're going to work a double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches with the green. So a green loop over the hook, and then work 1 double crochet into the same stitch as the join and 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Now we'll work with the grey, so put a loop of grey over your hook and work 1 double crochet into the following stitch, and then 1 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches with the green. And then 1 double crochet in the following stitch with the grey. So we'll have 2 green and 1 grey. And we're going to repeat that right around this row. 1 double crochet with grey and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches with the green. So I'll continue working around this row off camera and I'll be back. Now I've just worked my last stitch with the grey, and I join in the top of the first stitch with a slip stitch, and that's the row, train track row, done. Now we're going to work the bottom of the train track, so just leave the green where it is, work 1 chain and work 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So I'll work to the end of this row off camera. Now that's the train track part done. So I've finished with the grey, so I'm going to join in the top of the first stitch with the green with a slip stitch. And I'll fasten off the grey with quite a long tail, and I'll just tie that in again. Now my beanie is going to be long enough, but if you wanted your beanie to be a bit longer, you could work another row or 2 of this pattern in the green. So you'd start with 2 chain and work 1 double crochet in the same stitch as a join and a single crochet in the back loop only of the next stitch, just to make your beanie a bit longer. But being for a toddler, mine is long enough, so I'm going to do 2 rows to finish off. So I'm going to start with 1 chain and work 1 single crochet in the same stitch as the join, and then 1 single crochet in each stitch around for this row. So I'll just work the rest of the row off camera. When we get back to the beginning of the row, we join with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch. For the last row, we start with 1 chain and we're going to work 1 reverse single crochet or crab stitch in each stitch. So we're working backwards instead of forwards. So we put our hook into the last stitch worked and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook and take the hook with this yarn at the end through both loops, and then hook into the stitch before and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through both loops. So we're just working a single crochet but going backwards, and it gives it a little bit of a loopy edge. It's just a nice finish for a beanie. I'll continue round this row and I'll be back when I get to the end of the row. When we get back to the beginning of the row, we fasten off. And when you weave in the end, just pull it down over the first stitch like that. So I'll weave in the ends and be back to show you the finished beanie. There's the finished beanie. If you've liked my video, please like, subscribe and share. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest and Twitter. The details are in the description below, along with the details of my website where I have my patterns, the details of my Facebook group and the details of my Patreon. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.